Hi, everybody. Welcome to season 2 of The Locker Room, our weekly podcast where we talk about all of the kids in our area related to athletics. Those student athletes are on the fields now, on the courts, and they're getting ready for the upcoming season. And we're going to be right here with them promoting everything they do. I'm Stan Grubboy. He is Dustin Robichaux. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Stan. How was your summer?
My summer was interesting. A little procedure that gets me sort of back in the fold, but I've been feeling really good and I'm excited that school has started. And, this podcast, especially where I get to talk to all of the coaching community as we started off today with the football coaches. And that's always a lot of fun and see what we might expect this upcoming year. And your summer?
It went by very quickly. I'll say that.
It does. I can remember a day and time when you went back to school towards the end of August.
Yes.
Now it's the very beginning of August, so it's a lot different. A lot of kids were usually getting ready for their big football jamborees and volleyball jamborees the week they came back. Now it's a little bit different where you have to wait 3 weeks to get into it. But scrimmages are happening, jamborees are all happening this upcoming week. So obviously we want to promote that and make sure that you go out and support those kids in jamborees. Terrebonne General is the big host of a jamboree that happens at Tom B. Smith. It's the Terrebonne General HTV Jamboree that features the host team Terrebonne High School, but it also has H.L. Bourgeois in it, E.D. White in it, and South Lafourche in it. First game is at 6 o'clock, and that game will feature H.L. Bourgeois against South Lafourche. Second game has Terrebonne's playing South Lafourche. The second game. First game is E.D. White. I want to make sure I get this right, Dustin, because we switch kind of every year. It switches up a little bit.
Right.
E.D. White's going to be taking on H.L. Bourgeois in the first game. In the second game, it'll be Terrebonne against South Lafourche. So we wish all of those kids well. Thibodeau High School hosting a jamboree. Covenant Christian actually going out to the New Orleans area. Homer Christian going out to the Fisher area, Lafitte. They're going to Lafitte. And Vanderbilt Catholic taking a trek all the way to Lafayette as they'll be in the Lafayette Christian Jamboree this upcoming Friday night. So we hope that you can support those local high school kids. But first, to talk about today's podcast, we were fortunate enough to get all of the coaches in our locker room, which is hence the name of our podcast. And they talked to me a little bit about what we might expect from their team. So sit back and enjoy the coaches from Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish football. It is my pleasure to be joined by Aaron Butler, new head coach of Ellender Memorial. Sounds kind of nice.
Yes, sir.
First of all, how's it been going so far? You were named actually in the spring, but I know there's a process to go through. What was that process?
It was a great process, just making a transition from Terrebonne and going over to Ellender. I got over there a little bit late, so I wasn't actually able to go through a spring, but I was able to get over there, kind of like just start talking to the guys, getting to know the guys, just trying to get the feel for the program in the direction that I wanted to take it. But so far, it's been going great.
Summer, got some work in the summer. I know that's the first time you probably got them together as a team.
One of the first things that I did this summer was we went to a leadership camp. We went to USMC. I went there basically to try to, get some team building, get those guys to understand that, it's just not about football, that there's other things that you can do because fortunately and unfortunately that some of these kids may not actually play football. So just giving them an opportunity to broaden their horizon and have an opportunity to go into the military, but at the same time, getting a good feel for the structure and the leadership and the discipline which I'm trying to bring to the program. So that was one of the first things that we did this summer. And then from there, we basically was just lifting weights and running. Because of the numbers, I wanted those guys to understand that in order for us to play 4 quarters, that we would have to actually be in shape. So that was one of the biggest things, was just a lot of conditioning. But at the same time, I wanted to build strength.
So now that you've seen the team just a little bit, you've been around about, if you had to describe what kind of team it is, whether it be experienced, inexperienced, a lot of leadership, whatever the case may be, how would you describe this team?
It's really a lot of things. It's experience. It's an experienced team. It's a young team. It's a team that has some great leaders on it. So I think it's kind of like a mixture of all. I have a few seniors that's been playing since they were freshmen. So that's what gives us a little bit more experience, and that's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. And then I have a good group of freshmen that came in as well, and I have a few juniors and a few sophomores. So after this year, it's going to be the kind of like the same thing, just getting those guys to understand that it's really not your classification. It's basically how are you willing to work. Because I've told freshmen that if you're willing to be dedicated and if you have a skill set, you can have a place on this team and you can play early on.
Very good. Very good. You mentioned defense and a couple of kids that had a little bit of experience coming back there. What do you think is going to be the strength of your team?
The defense, obviously, we have Deontay Cooler, we have Caden Guidry, we have Xavier Rodri, who was the leading tackler. Although he's coming off an injury, he seems to be moving around pretty good. We have Cameron Jackson, defensive backfield. We have Chandler, Hartman. So all those guys have a lot of game experience, and that's one thing that I notice whenever me being a defensive guy and just seeing how fast they are reacting and playing. It's because the cohesiveness is already there because they played together all these years. So we're definitely ahead on defense right now.
Very good. Quarterback position settled or still competition there?
Well, yes, always. I don't like guys to basically get too comfortable. So we have like a two quarterback system because we're going to do some different things. We have a multiple type offense that we're going to run. But we have Trevante Aldrich, who's about 6'3", about 185 pounds. He's basically a dual threat quarterback. And we're going to also use LaDainian Perna at quarterback as well. So we have a two quarterback system, but right now Trevante Aldrich is taking the majority of the snaps.
Very good. Complete this statement. This is whatever you think success is. Like for you going in with a goal, for us to be successful at Ellender this year.
For us to be successful, we'll basically have to just control the clock. We have to control the clock. What I noticed last year was that, or noticed while looking at film review, is that they play way too many snaps on defense. So we have to be able to control the clock, put our defense in marquee situations to make stops, get off the field on third down, and obviously in the fourth quarter, give our offense an opportunity to win the game.
Thank you very much, Coach. Best of luck this upcoming season.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
It is my pleasure to be joined by Javon Yarborough, assistant coach over at HL Bourgeois High School. Good to have you with us. Obviously, they say champions are made in the offseason. Tell us a little bit about the spring and the summer, what you guys at HL have been up to.
The spring started off a lot of young kids. But the fortunate part of it is that our young kids have been playing since freshmen. A lot of we're a sophomore and junior led team. A lot of sophomores and juniors. I think we have about maybe 12 seniors. So we lean heavy on our sophomores and our juniors. But again, we tell them all the time, hey, you may be young on paper, but on that field, you're very experienced. You've been playing since you were a freshman, since you first got in here. And like you say, from the spring, man, we started with some young guys, and we got to see what we had. And summer, we just went from there. We've had the best attendance since I've been here. This is going to be my third year at HL.
Very good.
And we continue to grow. We continue to preach to our kids, hey, 1% every day. Let's just try to get 1%, and everything else takes care of itself. The culture, the standard, it's changing. You can see it. The coaching staff, we feel it. The school feels it. And I think this is the first time I can say since I've been here we've experienced that. And I'm excited. Our coaching staff is excited. The kids are excited.
Listen, it was a great year last year, obviously, and you played Hornville, tooth and nail, and unfortunately draw a heartbreaker in that one. That all being said, it sounds like there's a corner that's sort of been turned, right?
Sure.
Very good, very good. Any strength on a team that maybe is a little bit more glaring right now than another part, whether it be defense, offense, or a position?
I'd say we're pretty balanced. Again, a lot of our kids have been playing. Defensively, we lean on Lawrence Mitchell. Offensively, we lean on Kadar Mitchell. Janarius Jones is another one on defense. He's a junior this year. He's been playing since he was a freshman. I mean, from the first day he got there. He took the first snap, and you continue to see his maturity and his growth as a player, but also as a young man. And he's going to be a tremendous leader. And like I said, we lean heavy on those guys, and the sky's the limit for each other. I'm excited. I'm very excited.
How do you replace a Malik Miles or a Tyron Winslow? Is that an easy thing to do, or you just it doesn't have to be that again? You maybe do something a little different?
Well, first off, guys like that are in a sense they're not replaceable. You can't replace those guys. Tremendous leaders, great people outside of football. But they were able to show the younger ones what it took to get there, and being able to see it. I know we hadn't made the playoffs. I want to say since 2018. Uh, so getting the opportunity to see Malik Miles and Tyron Winslow lead the right way and get a chance to go play at the next level. I mean, we use that. We talk about that often. We preach to our kids, hey, these guys showed you how to do it, right? Get behind these guys and learn from these guys, and you're going to get your opportunity. So that's always been the message. And like we said, 1%. 1%.
Very good. Very good. Finish your statement. For us to be successful, whatever y'all deem as being successful, for us to be successful, what has to happen?
For us to be successful, continue to grind, continue to stay mentally focused. It could be a ton of distractions at times. And let's be honest, I mean, we don't have uh, the state of art facilities, but we make the most of it. We do what we can, and we try to get our kids to understand that, hey, sometimes you're not blessed with the greatest facilities, the greatest, you know what I'm saying? But you make the most of it, and you do what you can, and you cherish what you have. And I think this group of kids, they fully believe in what their coaching staff is telling them, and they're bought in. And I can't wait. I'm super excited. I am super excited.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. We wish y'all the best of luck.
Appreciate you.
I am so happy to be joined by Loyal Northeast, new head coach at Thibodeau High School.
sir.
How's it been for you? Did you get there in the spring? Did you
I
have
got
a little
there
time?
in January, right after the snowstorm. So I tell people all the time, and when I first got there, I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose, just kind of trying to process everything and just trying to fix everything at once. And so it's finally slowing down and kind of be able to kind of get my feet underneath me a little bit. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Do you feel like, because when you got out of school, you were an offensive coordinator for a while, and then you move into, Ascension Catholic, where you get to be a head coach, and obviously it's a great program, but it was still single A football. Like the steps to get to a 5A school, do you think that's been beneficial for you? Do you think it would have been any different if right when you get out, if you're in San Antonio and you come over here and you're at Thibodeau High, like is there some benefit to kind of following the path you followed?
I do. When I first got when I first got out of school, I coached in Texas for 2 years at a school called Columbus High. I had a great mentor named Matt Schobel. Played in the NFL for maybe 9 years. They actually just won a state championship this past year. So I was able to work under him for 2 years, and then going to East Ascension for a spring semester and going to. I tell people all the time, me coaching at Ascension Catholic probably prepared me the most for this job, because coaching at those smaller schools, you have to be the laundry guy, the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator. You got to cut the grass. You got to do all of those things, and so it forces you how to compartmentalize and how to focus on just the whole picture as a whole, without feeling like you have to overwhelm yourself. And so I think me going there helped me kind of break down the job that I'm at now into pieces to prepare myself for where I'm at now.
Very good. Have you been happy with, the spring, the summer? Talk about your team in general and the things that you think y'all are doing well, and maybe some things y'all have to work on.
We have everything we need for us to be successful. I think our own biggest enemy right now is ourselves. Just believing that we can do some of those things, and that comes from winning. When you haven't won in so long, it's hard to believe you can do those things. And so just trying to get those guys to believe in themselves, and how you do that by finding success. And so teaching them the process of what it takes to get to have success. Don't focus on the outcome, focus on the process of what it takes to get those outcomes. And so they bought into the things that we've asked to do, and now we're putting one foot in front of the other and continue. I've seen the progress from the time I got there in January to where now, and so all I keep challenging those guys to do, let's stay on this upward slope. Don't get conceited where we are now.
I saw where you actually had the moms out there, and they were taking care of their sons a little bit, giving them the business on the field. But it's sort of a camaraderie thing. Is that something that you thought important? Was that your idea, or somebody said, let's do this to sort of get the parents and everybody involved? Because truthfully, over the last few years, we didn't see that at Thibodeau High.
I think, man, people kind of get into I always trying to steal great things from other great head coaches, and so find things that work for me that I can kind of take with me as I continue to grow. And so it's actually I got the idea from Brock Mathern at East Ascension, and so he had it, and I kind of put my own little record to it. But the moms always enjoy it because no matter how old they get, they're still gonna be that baby boy. And so I think some of the kids get to a point to where like they're too old for head kisses and want to hug their mom. And so I think they kind of give the moms opportunity to see what it's like, what their kids deal with every day, as far as coming to school, knowing, going through workouts, having to go into heat and practice, what it takes for us to get to where we are. And so I thought it was a cool event to kind of bring, and also just kind of bring some community support, trying to get those moms, let them know that we do want y'all involved, we do want y'all around. And so I thought it was a phenomenal event yesterday. They were all excited about it and they all enjoyed it.
Strength. Do you see a specific strength that's starting to come to the forefront a little bit right now?
Our defense probably gonna be the strength of our team, especially early on in the year. Um, just so we have so many guys return to starters. We have at least 5, 6 guys starting with Charles Howard, Jeremiah Jones, Jake Onkel, Connor Jaru is a 4-year starter, Spencer Conrad. All those guys been at least 2 to 3 year starters, and so the experience shows up a lot on defense. Just being in their gaps, knowing where they're supposed to be at. Situational football, they work a lot. They've been in those situations, so they know what to expect, which is the coaching point. Um, Offensively, we had a lot of young skill guys coming back, bringing in the first year quarterback with Damian Robinson, who's done a phenomenal job. We have experienced running back with Amari Griffin. Our offensive line is still working to kind of sort some things out up front, but they'll be fine. And we got a plethora of skill guys. Just a matter of figuring out who can put in the right place and do what. And so that's our job as a coach to figure out, like, we have the talent now. Can we put it in the right places for those things guys to be successful?
My last question for you is having the talent that you have at the quarterback position or at any position, just an athlete. Is it hard sometimes to sort of get, some things that may have come natural to you, you have to work more with some of the kids on. Is that still a process for you, or you always understood that, even back to Columbus High
Yeah.
School or whatever?
I think, like I said, go back to one of your questions earlier. I think me working at Columbus and working at Central Catholic, where I don't have guys who's as gifted as the guys I have now. So you have to be that much more detailed and specific about the things you want to explain and how you want to get to those things with guys who just don't naturally have. You can roll the ball out to me and I can figure it out. Now, a lot of guys can't do that, right? So you have to be real detailed and real specific about how you explain things to certain kids. And so I always tell people, like, teaching is really an art, because you have to be able to elaborate certain things to certain people to where it makes sense to them and not to me, right? Because I can go out there and understand exactly what I'm talking about, but a kid who don't haven't invested and played the experience from the game takes a little bit longer. And so I'm all my coaches all about, man, like teaching is a gift. Like, make sure we're using it, make sure we're trying to communicate it to where, not to where we understand, but where those kids understand. And so I'm hard for that a lot to my staff about, man, be detailed, make sure you're organized and have a plan, because we know it today. Kids, you don't have the attention for very long. So make sure you're being real specific about what you want to get done. And once you get those things done, now you kind of go out and kind of coach it from there. So it's been a process, but I think my experience in playing, being injured, and kind of being around some great mentors where it's helped me understand what it takes and how to elaborate those things to kids.
Awesome, awesome. We wish you guys the best of luck this
Thank
year.
you.
It is my pleasure to be joined by Tyler Lewis, head football coach and athletic director right now over at Terrebonne High School. Does that get in the way a little bit? I know it's been just a few days now and the word is sort of getting out there. Have you found it to interfere with football? It's been,
It's intertwining, but I have a great staff. Everybody have duties, so I'm able, if I have to pull back, to take care of a situation. My guys step up. My coordinators do a great job of stepping up. So it's working.
good, good. How would you describe the spring and the summer? Are you happy with the team?
I'm excited about this team, man. Spring went well. Even though we get 10 days, you still got to beat the heat. All season went great. But just right now, the guys are competing against each other. They help picking up each other. I'm pleased, man. Everybody across the board, including the freshman class.
8-2 last year. I would consider it tough, and I'll let you expand or say no. We were okay after it. Does the Chalmette in the first round stick with you a little bit? Is it a motivating factor?
It is. It definitely is. Chalmette was a talented team. They called the 23 draw, but they competed. They had factors. They had the band that helped in that game. The 6 man, and we made some mistakes because of that. But we're motivated that we have to do better in the postseason, and we have to make sure we get over that hump. And our kids know what it is, and that's what they want. They want to get to New Orleans. They want the first state title in the history of the school. So I'm more than confident that it's going to happen.
Listen, a 3-year start at quarterback, Celestine is back. But it's not just that. It's like even when you look at kids who have either already committed or signed, it's all over the field. It's not conducive to just like the defensive line, offensive line. Do you feel pretty good about the whole of the team?
No doubt, we have a great nucleus, man. We have kids that's going to help us across the board. We got kids that's sophomores, going to be sophomores, juniors, and stepping up to the plate right now. I just think that we're balanced right now. We need to stay healthy, stay disciplined, and carry that into the postseason. And it's going to take us a long way to the postseason.
I'm gonna flip the script a little bit. What are you maybe not so happy with right now? What has to be better? Whether it's a certain grouping, special teams, defense, offense, or just a position, something that's got to get a little better.
Well, I think what I want to see more of is our tools. I need our tools to be more efficient in our practice as far as when they get their opportunities on the script. They're gonna help us. We're gonna need them. We're gonna go down where a kid may go down. They're gonna need to step up. So that's something we kind of ran into a Chalmette. Going back to Chalmette game, we had only 3 active defensive linemen, and we only had 5. We only had 5.5. You can say half offensive linemen active for a first round playoff game. So that's the biggest thing right now is making sure my tools know that they're important, that they matter. So and that's something we've been harping on and getting on them about.
Do you like the schedule setup? Riverside Academy was at home last year to start it all off. You have a tough schedule with the St. James's and all of those people. You like the way it sets up?
Of course, it was intentional. I set that schedule up intentionally. You have to pay champion-like programs to be a champion. You have to have a tough pre-district in order to compete in your district. And your district, our district it's not a slump. It's competitive every week, no matter who's the team. You have to come with your A game, and those factors prepare you for playoff. You're gonna see so much before you get there. So going to Riverside is gonna be interesting for us. They're gonna be a tough 1A team. They're a champion like team. We're just gonna have to play all 4 quarters and make sure that we protect the ball and we take the ball away. You still got to think about Eleanor. They're going to come home and compete, and St. James come home. We have 6 home games this year. They're going to compete their butt off at St. James. We had a nail biter last year, and then we're going into district. Harmsville, Destrehan's, and you go to Destrehan this year, and that's a tough place to play at. And you got to go to Thibodeau. That's a tough place to play at. So we're gonna be on the road in some tough places too. So we're just gonna have to bunker down and do what we do and be terrible on perfect.
Very good. Tyler, thanks for everything, and we wish you the best.
I appreciate it.
I am happy to be joined by Brian Wallace, head coach at Vanderbilt Catholic. Terrific year last year, 9-3. Congratulations on that. If I've never got to do that publicly.
I appreciate that.
As y'all moved on to the quarterfinals, kind of strange question to start this off. Are you happy with the infrastructure that you're sort of putting in place and maybe have in place to some extent?
Yes, very pleased with obviously being the second year in the high school ranks. It took me a little bit to get adjusted, but I feel year 2 we're a lot more organized, have a solid foundation in place. The administration works tremendously with me and allows me to be able to run the program the way that we see fit. So I feel very confident in what we have going.
And I only ask that, I see what y'all are doing from everything on the field to the way the younger programs are coming up to weights and conditioning, to the conditioning part of it. And I'm like, that's something that's there. It's not like on unsolid ground.
Right. No, so our strength conditioning program for us is where it starts for all of our sports, but obviously for football. We put a lot of emphasis and a lot of resources into that. We put together a nutrition center in the football field house, so protein shakes and vitamins and just having nutrition for the guys to get bigger, faster, stronger. And then same thing into the weight room. So the two biggest things that in my philosophy is that where the players have the most return on their investment is the weight room and the training room. And I think that's where we really do a good job is getting our athletes stronger and healthy and preventing injuries. But if they do get injured, getting them back to play. I keep our players always mess me because I say the best ability is availability. So we always, I feel like if we can have our best when our best needed, put us in a good position to win games.
You always had a role with the athletic directorship position, but this year it's full blown, basically. Is this a deal? And I ask this, pardon my ignorance on it. I know you and Chadman are already doing it together.
Yeah.
Does it make sense, or I should say it makes sense in my mind?
Yeah.
You're in football season, right? So you got a guy who can kind of worry about that a little bit more. And then when he's in baseball, is that how it's going to work?
That was the thought process behind it. Obviously, we work together and collaborate, but during our major seasons, that the other one will take on more of a stronger role within the department. And it's worked out very well so far. Obviously, I respect Chad and what he's done with his program as a coach and as a man. And, same with me. And it's been a really good partnership right now. And I'm really excited about the direction for the whole athletic department, what we're going in.
So let's talk football.
Yeah.
No Jalen Coleman.
No.
No Chestnut.
Don't
Robert Sandoval.
Don't remind me. Don't have to remind me.
All of that being said, how has the summer been? How has the spring been?
So it's been really good because we've got to be able to. We've had the opportunity to develop because of those key losses. We graduated 19 seniors, and all 19 really played a pivotal role for us in the program last year. So that was our main goal: is going into spring, going into summer, is identifying guys, building chemistry, building new leaders. And we, as a staff, we put a lot of emphasis on that. And I think that we've seen it, the fruits of our labor really coming to work this week. But we still we've got a long way to go. I tell them we're still just really in the fall camp mode right now with our scrimmage next week coming up. But I like the progress we've made. And we've got some guys emerging. And I think that, that we'll be able to still be hopefully, on par with where we were last year.
It's a situation where Chestnut sort of gets dinged up at the end of the year. So you see another guy who's a possibility there. Mm-hmm. Is that quarterback position solidified, so to speak?
Well, I'm going to say I tell the team none of the positions are solidified right now because every day it's an evaluation process. We have a couple guys competing at the quarterback spot. Obviously, Ethan Henney played significant time fourth at the end of the year last year at quarterback and at tight end. We got another young guy, Cullen Verdan, who's competing every day. But we tell them, every day is an interview process, and they're going to have to put it on tape. So we had an inter-squad scrimmage last Saturday. We got another one tomorrow that we evaluate just like a game, and then we'll be doing that all the way until September 5th.
So I hate to be sort of negative on the last question. What are you not necessarily not happy with, but you're thinking this has to get better for us?
I think right now just our ability to handle adversity, which is it's just unknown right now. Obviously, we try to do our best to put the team, whether it's offense or defense or special teams, in some adverse situations to see how we'll respond. But you never will really know until it counts. Obviously, we still have 25 seniors this year, some battle tested, some not. So that's, to me, is where I really want to see is, when it's live is how we'll respond. Do we have fair weather guys? When things are going good, we're good. Things are going down, the finger starts pointing. So really want to see where we're at with that. It's going to be interesting because I think that's, to me, that'll be the litmus test of how good we'll be is how good our leadership is, how good our mental toughness is.
Let me end with this so that we get away from the negativity.
Yeah.
You're in the second year of a schedule that was, pretty much set up along the way. You can lie to me and say you don't, in the deepest recesses of your quietness, look at the schedule and see the way it's set up. But it would be a lie because we all, as high school coaches, kind of look and go, I like that we play this team here, this team here.
Yeah.
You like the way it's set up?
I do. I think, obviously we got 2 home games off the bat. We're going to play a good Central Lafourche team that we had a good game with last year, and I think that they're going to continue to grow like we do. And then week 2 we have John Ehret. And John Ehret has a lot of talent. And last year we played him in the Hurricane. We played him on a Saturday, so it's going to be a tough battle for us. And then we got to get on the road to Sulphur. So Sulphur is a tough team, and they're well coached. And then you add the variable of traveling 4 hours on a bus. So again, we're going to have some factors early on in the season to say, hey, before we get into district, we'll kind of see where we're at. And then, our district, I think it's tough. We got a lot of good teams. I think the teams that really last year, maybe their records were indicative of how good they were. I think they're only going to get better because I saw the athletes they had. And just like everybody, it's staying healthy late in the year. So I like the way it's set up. I just hope I'm still saying that in November.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, we wish you guys the best of luck, and it all starts next week.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
So happy to be joined by Aaron Babin, head football coach over at South Terrebonne High School. Hope that you guys have been doing well. How's the summer been?
It's been well. We actually started fall camp earlier this year because we had a non-padded spring. So, I thought the summer went well. The football coach in me, you're always looking for a little bit more, but it was a good summer. I really actually enjoyed the spring. I thought we got more out of it than I anticipated with it being a non-padded spring. So that was a pleasant surprise. And then it rolled over into the summer. And then, started fall camp. So, we're 6 days away from our scrimmage right now as I talk to you. And I have to say fall camp has been really, really good so far. I'm very pleased in the energy the kids are showing, very pleased in the camaraderie that I see building. And I think, looking right here, it's still a question of, do we continue to take the next step? We've done a lot of positive things in the last 6 months as we move into the 2025 season. And I think we just have to keep working on it. And it's a daily thing. It's an hour thing. It's a minute to minute thing. As long as we keep pushing to be the best we can and just see how far that can take us.
You have a lot of kids who have experience. You have a 3-year starter at quarterback. You have a backfield that's got some kids who have played since they were sophomores, and now they're seniors. But there still is a good mix. Like there's a couple of kids who are like juniors now, and even sophomores, who have played and understand the game a little bit. Have you, maybe even since your time that you've been at South Terrebonne, have you seen that this team, although I'm sure like 90% of the coaches who are here today would love to have numbers coming out the wazoo, right? Do you feel pretty good about those 22 kids you're going to put out there on the field that are going to have to compete on Friday nights?
Absolutely. I think, we're returning 18 out of 22 starters. So, when you look at that, that's a big number. It makes you feel really good when it comes to continuity, when it comes to it. And you talk about that, these seniors are the first class that I had. They were freshmen in my first year on the job. So, they've been in the system the whole time. They've been part of the program. So, those guys that were sophomores, that were starters, whether you're talking about Jaheim Digg, Brody Dupree, these different guys that have been starting for 3 years, I guess you call them veteran. I don't know if you ever really use that in high school football, but, they're going into 3 years as a starter. You have that. But, it's part of it. But, we don't have 22 seniors. So it's still a junior, senior, even sophomore team. You talked about that earlier because we started freshmen last year. Max Portier and Ryer Fleming are 2 freshmen that started, and but they have valuable experience. So are they really sophomores? And that's something we debate constantly in the coach's office. But I think it's a big deal. So we're excited about it as we continue to move there, and I think it does give them some benefits. And then going to your numbers question, I think you want to have 100. Now, let's just throw that number out there. But for me, it's to have 100 to help with depth. It's to have the next, just because, those kids I just already called out, Brody Duper, Jaheim Diggs, Ryer Fleming, Max Portier. If there was, trying to find that kid in each class, and that's when you're really special, is when you have them as a senior, a junior, sophomore, and a freshman, and it's just throughout. And then, of course, with 100, you'd be super deep. But no, I love the 22 we have out there.
You talked about a lot of skill players, but I know the cupboard's not bare for line play. I know you have a lot of offensive linemen coming back. Maybe they'll retire offensive line. And I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Yeah.
That being said, of course, you mentioned how many starters you have coming back. It's something that, quite honestly, in our area, especially, I would say on the sort of the east side of town, where linemen have always been a hot commodity. You feel pretty good about that?
Yes, absolutely. I think when you talk about an offensive line, we're bringing back 4 out of 5. Defensive line, we play a 3-man front. We're bringing back 2 out of 3. So when you talk about the majority, the majority right there is really a big deal with those major starters coming back. And just to shout those guys out too. On the D line, we got T.J. Lewis and Tavian Stewart, who are returning starters for us. And then on the offensive line, we've got Kenner. You've got Kenner and Max, Bray, and Jaden Stewart, who are all coming back. So you really like that continuity. And I like where they're at. A lot of them, for the most part, have been 1-year starters. So they have a lot of experience, but then also the strength and the requirements that it takes to play in the trenches. And like we were kind of referencing in the last question, you like what's there. But then the question is, yes, you are. That's one of the few spots that we're replacing. So who's going to step up? How we're going to fill it? That becomes your questions. And how do those returners help them? Because that becomes a big thing in the camaraderie building. And how are they going to help each other acclimate to the speed of the game?
I agree. How we? Oh, I hate to be negative about this. What's got to get better? Like right
well,
now,
there's always something. I mean, that's the coach in me. If
Yeah.
you're asking right here, I think anytime when you look at it, what needs to get better, I think we have to focus on fundamentals. We have to do a better job with ball security. I don't think we've turned it over very much, but one time's too many. So I think you got to focus on that. We have to continue to focus on tackling. And with that, and that's the two things you really come out of the fall camp going into the scrimmage you're worried about, because even though you may go live, it's never for this amount of time that a game or a scrimmage is. So how are you going to adjust to that physicality? Hopefully your training and your lifting and the way you've been practicing is a great simulation. And I think we do a good job with that, but you're always concerned with it. So I think, you want to focus on those things. And I think the next part's the mentality. We're 4 years out from the storm, and we're still not in the school building. So with that being said, and those adjustments that have to happen on a campus where as you try to make it work and everything else, but we've really done taken a very hard focus on mentality. How do we fix our mentality to what are our goals and just try to achieve that? And we talked about to them, I'd say daily, but at minimum every other day. And that's a big part of it, just to have a great focus and understand that we're achieving something and we're going to work towards it. And we're not always going to have our best day. And it's not, if you have a bad day, A, you should be okay with it. But B, can you find something positive you did? Because there is something. If you gave effort, that's where it's at. And that's what we've been getting.
good. That's awesome. We wish you guys the best of luck this upcoming year.
Greatly appreciate it.
Hi, everybody. It is my pleasure to be joined by Jamar Celestine, head football coach over at Houma Christian. Not only that, assistant principal. Congratulations. I have the opportunity to congratulate you on that. I know you have, since you've been at Houma Christian, really fallen in love with the school.
Yes, sir.
And it's more than just about football or basketball or whatever. It's about a school community, right?
Absolutely. It's just a place where I can actually be myself. I can love God, share with kids. I can mentor kids. I can pray for them throughout the day. And you just don't have a lot of opportunity to do that. And at Houma Christian, you're allowed to do that. And it's life changing. I get to see my sons every day. I bring them to school with me. So I'm a full-time father also. So that's just something that I just can't buy.
That's awesome. Listen, you probably, more than a lot of the other football coaches in here, you're a AA school, right?
Correct.
You got to share these kids with every other sport that's out there. You got to have kids that are going two ways. There are going to be cycles that are up and cycles that are down. So I guess bluntly, where do you think that cycle is right now? Are you happy with your numbers? Are you happy with what's going on?
It's always going to be a struggle, I think, as far as numbers, unless you get more kids. I'm happy because as we walk the halls, the more we ask questions for kids, they're starting to want to be a part of it. Like this year, it wasn't so much of me recruiting the halls. It was more so of them wanting to be a part of something special because they saw the bonds that we've built throughout the year. So right now I'm happy because of the want to be there. You got to have some kids that want to be out there because a lot of times if you force a kid to be out there, you might not get the full product.
It hurts you and them, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I understand. Talk a little bit about those things that have been going well in the summer and in the spring related to leading up to this year.
Well, this summer has been mine. I'm so excited about this team. I'm going to tell you why. Last year, we didn't get a chance to attack the summer. A lot of the heat, it was something that I had to adjust to, just the violations of not having a kid to overdose from a heat exhaustion. But this year, I was able to maintain it for us, changing the time that we work out. So we went in the morning, and the requirement was for them to come from 6 to 9 a.m. in the morning. And for me, it's a lot of commitment to ask a 15-year-old, 16-year-old to show up to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and to show up on time. Our commitment was 100%. I don't have a kid on my roster that did not show up. And if a kid couldn't make it, they communicated effectively. I'm big on communication. I want them to communicate more than their parents. So the kids were accountable this summer, and we noticed all of their body is transitioning to the right direction. They're getting stronger, they're getting faster, and they're more excited. They're walking around with their chest poked out. I actually my son is playing for me, and he came home and he taking off his shirt. He's walking, Dad, I've been lifting weights. So it's just exciting to see them get excited about themselves and grow their confidence.
A schedule that's in the second year of the cycle, meaning that you pretty much have the same schedule. Maybe the home and away is a little different.
Correct.
You happy with the schedule? I know, Holland Baptist is a school that kind of came up with y'all, so to speak, and everything, and that's who you open up with. And unfortunately, I say this unfortunately, I don't know how you guys feel about it. You play in a district that's 7-2A, where a lot of people would say, well, it's 2A, and then it's Catholic of New Iberia, right? And Lauraville, schools that when they get on the sideline, they look like a 4A school.
Correct.
So just that kind of mix of playing district ball and your pre-district, you happy with the schedule?
For me, I'm a competitor. I like to play the best possible team because I feel like it lets you know exactly where you are. Like you can build some false hope with kids and you can put a watered down schedule. What I mean by that is playing lesser opponents and the kids get that false sense of we're really, really good. And then when the playoff time comes, you run into a real team and then you have issues and you lose early. So for me, I love the competitive side. It's just with the numbers. We would love to have more boys, more numbers, just to make the competitive edge a little bit fair across the board. But I'm excited about it because I know the success that we have against these teams, it lets you know exactly where you are heading into the playoffs.
Strong suit. Is it defense? Is it offense? Or is it a particular grouping of a certain position?
It's skill players. This year we have a lot of speed. In the previous years, we didn't have a lot of speed. We had one or two guys that we were trying to force it to. But this year, I have a variety of number of guys that can do multiple things. So I'm hoping that we can use that space and use that speed to get them out in space, get the ball in their hands, and hopefully they can make a lot of noise for us.
Well, good. Listen, Jamar, we wish y'all the best of luck this upcoming season.
Thank you so much for what y'all do.
I am so happy to be joined by B.J. Young, head football coach at South Lafourche High School, a team that finally gets to play where they belong, for everybody who knows about those things. And you never complained about that. You're always really good about we're going to go out on the field and we're going to make whatever we can happen.
Right.
Listen, things got good at the end of last year, but just in hearing things too, it's so sort of bright this upcoming year related to having kids back, having playmakers back.
Right.
How's it been for you? How's the summer and the spring been for you?
Yeah, it's been good, man. I think we started slow last year, so that and we kind of hit our stride a little too late to try to make a little playoff push. But I like that we were playing at the end of the year. We got a lot of that core group back, so there's been a lot of excitement around the program. I know the kids are excited to kind of play somebody in a different color. It's becoming kind of monotonous, like riding a bike, which is good, which is a good thing. They kind of finish your sentences for you. So it's a group that's been around for 4 years. A lot of them have started since freshmen. We took our lifts with them early. So we're looking forward to a good season, man. Got to stay healthy. Got to stay healthy. And I think everybody kind of is in that same boat. But if we stay healthy and we play how we're capable, it should be a fun season.
I opened it up by saying that, and I should clarify what you finish with. Having to play in a Division I bracket doesn't get you in, but you're clearly in if it's a Division II bracket. So it makes it sort of that much fairer. I don't know if that has any bearing whatsoever on the confidence level of your kids going into the offseason. But when you're talking about, you have your quarterback back, who's a terrific athlete in Mac.
Right.
You have, Terrence Petrie and Meathead and all of these guys. Is there sort of a confidence level that you didn't see maybe last year or the year before?
No, there is. I think they've kind of come into their own. And, they're excited. I think I was telling one of the coaches a few years ago, made the playoffs, and you get gifted with touchdown. 3,000 kids, and the kids never waver, man. They're ready to spot the ball and play. Like you said a minute ago, they really didn't care if the team on the other side of the field was all kind of about us, and they are, man. They're confident. And the jump you make from your junior to your senior year is something with that jump that kind of clicks for them, and it's their time. I think they feel like it's their time, and they're looking to make the most of it. For the kids and obviously for the senior, hope they can stay healthy and we can make the most of it.
Are you happy with the infrastructure? And what I mean by that is I know this summer y'all did, educational sessions for younger kids and stuff, learning football, right?
Right.
That being said, it's your job to oversee that whole program, even to deal with, the ninth graders and LCO and all of that.
Right.
Happy with the way everything?
Yeah, man. Look, we made it an effort, even in the off season, I guess your second January, to really try to reach the youth in the community, to try to cut the gap a little bit. Teach them not the game of football, but just work on things that can help you in any sport, your footwork, and things like that. Kind of show them how to become a better athlete, and then we kind of transition to football. So carried over into the kid camp, which is the best turnout we've had since I've been there, which I think is a testament to kind of the excitement surrounding the season as well. But we really made an effort to reach the youth, and I think that helped. Moving forward, I think the middle schools have done a good job. You got a guy like Coach Nestle Pierce who's done it at the level I was doing it for a long time, right? So to be able to get his hands on the youth and kind of show them the mold of what it takes to maybe be a high school athlete. So when they come, they've been, not that Keegan didn't do a great job, but they prepared. I think Elster does a good job preparing. And then same thing with Golden Melody. They had Coach Kiro, who was a staple there for a long time, and who did the same thing. So we fortunate, man, to have a tight-knit community that cares about young people and athletics, and especially football.
You've always been sort of an offensive mind, but that being said, as globally looking at your team, what's the thing that right now you're just like proud of?
Yeah.
Did we do this well?
Well, we got a new defensive coordinator, Mike Woods. Mike brings a lot of excitement, loves the game, film study, trying to put our kids in the best situation. And I think that's been the bright spot, is the energy that they brought, because you don't want to fall into that mold of, like kind of here we go again, right? We put together some drives and you look up and you're still down 21. And he's brought that mindset of, it's a defensive, deal, and a bend but don't break mentality, and turnovers are a big point of emphasis and trying to gain possession. So I think Mike's been a bright spot with the defense. I think the defense is really competing, believing, man. It's a huge part of it, man. Confidence, and I think they're confident in what Mike's doing, and they're playing hard for him, and so that's been a breath of fresh air for sure.
Finally, numbers, happy with them?
Yeah, we got a good freshman group. More linemen than I thought were coming. I knew we had a few athletes coming in, and Leo Richardell, Lakin Filinich, probably one of the best players in the area. Little young guy from LCO. So, but I was excited about the linemen we got in. Got a few kids from Golden Meadow. Cy Abear's one that's like our sixth man right now. And he's awesome. 13 years old.
Yeah, as a ninth grader.
Yeah, as a ninth grader. But so the numbers are good, man. Sometimes too many can become a distraction. So we kind of that 70 to 80 range, which for us is our sweet spot. So it's good. It's good.
Good. We wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Very happy to be sitting with Jesse Turner, head coach of CCA. The Lions had a terrific regular season last year. Undefeated. Can't get much better than that. I know you wanted to go further in the playoffs.
Sure.
Obviously, it's what we all want to do. But now there's kind of a standard set, right? You know, it's not just get in the playoffs. It's make some advancement, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things that we challenged ourselves as a staff 2 years ago when I walked into the building at CCA, is to build some type of foundation, to build a standard of what we want to see year in and year out. And last year was just a small little testament of that. I know, saying small may be crazy to some people, being that we went 10-0. But at the end of the day, we want to be one of the last teams standing. And that's what we work for every day. And that's the standard that we want to be built and to be carried on in this program.
Listen, whenever you have to write during the summer to all of these publications that want to know about CCA, there is a list of guys who have moved on and graduated.
Yes, sir.
And they were terrific athletes, and they were some of your leaders on your team. But that's not a cupboard that's bare, when you consider the Trosclair boys and the kids you got coming back. Has it been a summer where it's, I don't want to say just reload, but that you've been able to sort of find those pieces of the puzzle and plug it in a little bit?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like you said, we did graduate a ton of, good athletes. Some of them went to college, like Carson Abear and Jahari Carter and Bailey Streams. He's still trying to find his way, maybe walk on somewhere. But even last year, playing in the season, we seen some young guys. We seen some spark in some young guys that we knew that we can depend on this year. And we challenged them heavily over the summer. And those guys answered the bell. So we're excited to see what they will bring to the table this year. And again, it's more of a mindset than what we have on the perimeter or on the line of scrimmage. And those guys are carrying out what those seniors started for us last year.
Very good. You have a great middle school to ninth grade.
Yes, sir.
Sort of coming up together. Numbers are good?
Yeah, numbers are good. We are middle school, man. We are about 40 guys out there, man. It's exciting to see Coach Murray doing a great job with those guys. And we're right at about 50 guys for a 1A program. As he said, when I first got there, we was at 38, flirting around with about 45 last year. And this year we're, just at 50. So it's exciting to see these guys coming to work, and they're excited to play football for CCA, and that's a big thing for me, right? Just trying to create that culture that's welcoming for these young teenagers to want to play football and to challenge themselves every day. We got to just keep going forward with that and continue to build a program. Hopefully, even at a 1A school, we can get 70 guys out there, right? That's the goal. Dream big and see what happens.
Strengths, those things that you have seen going into the season, which obviously is right around the corner, that you think, whether it's the offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, whatever it may be, what do you think of strengths?
I do feel like we will be able to run the ball a ton this year with a senior quarterback and senior running back who plays an intricate part in our run game. And we also have some vets up there on the line of scrimmage on the offensive line that could put some guys around and create alleys for these guys. And defense, just the intensity, right? Just it's hard to pinpoint one guy. Just when we're at practice, those guys are flying around. Those guys are playing fast. The guys are playing with an attitude, and that's what I love to see. But there's other strengths that we have. We got some young athletes who've been making plays. But if I have to pinpoint a fefew things, it would be definitely that running game and just the way the defense is playing tenacious and fast. I love to see that.
You sort of at that level too. You're gonna, you get in the playoffs and you may be, a field goal to win a game, and you had that Swiss knife in Carson Abear who would get out there. Do you have that kind of the special teams?
We haven't named the starting kicker yet, but I can tell you something. Those guys who are, has aspiration to be our kicker, they're staying out after practice, and I see those guys. And some of them are young, but they do have a leg. We just got to tune it up a little bit, and there'll be something. We got to challenge ourselves as coaches to find that guy to replace, because special teams is a priority for us, and those points count and matters during the game.
Definitely, especially playoff times.
For sure.
We wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you, man.
Maybe
Thank you,
repeat that 10-0, huh?
Yeah, repeat the 10-0 and do a little bit more than that. So that's our goal.
All right. Yeah. It is my pleasure to be joined by Kyle Lasang, head football coach at E.D. White, also athletic director, and coming off of just a spectacular season last year. You finished in the Dome. Mm-hmm. Do you sit back and go, boy, that was a sense of accomplishment, or does it sort of add fuel to the fire to get ready for the next year? It's a conflicting thing, I think, a little bit, right?
It does. I think the expectations rise that, you're going to be there every year. And we understand how many things have to go your way to get there. But it was a special season for us. It's just a special feeling on the Superdome turf. And a lot of people ask me, what would you do differently in that game? And I wouldn't do a single thing differently. We were in it. We had some busted assignments, and we put the ball on the ground, and we don't do those things. We got a chance to win. And I think it was about the second quarter. I looked up and I was like, we got a chance to win this. Just didn't turn out our way, but we understand how difficult that is to get there.
No doubt. And then when you look at the roster, and obviously getting prepared for all of this, I'm seeing those names that are not there anymore, and I'm going, wow. But then you also see the names that are there. The interesting thing about y'all is a lot of times an ED White team will be that kind of team where you look on the offensive line and you're thinking they're always going to have linemen, right? They're always going to have linemen. And this year you see like the skill positions are coming back this year. Talk about line play to this point. Has it advanced? I know you got some youngsters that are coming up.
We do. There was a point in the summer and early in fall camp where we said, hey, these young kids are our best kids. Let's throw them out there. They've handled it really well. So it's unusual because we don't like to play a lot of young kids, but we'll probably have 2 freshmen starting on an offensive line. That's scary, but they're the best that we have right now. And the advantage is they get some experience. They're good for 4 years for you. And we're comfortable with them. And they've held their own against our older kids. So that's a concern. The depth is the true concern, though. We got some guys, probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 deep on the O-line, and then it kind of drops off. D-line's also a concern. Lost 3 of the 4 up front, and some really, really good players. So you replace them with some older kids and the offensive line kids, but just no experience. So you wait for the bullets to start flying to see how that works out.
Just the general perception, I think, and I'm speaking for everybody sort of globally in the Bayou region, but I look at it and I see you guys as having terrific infrastructure of what you do. Sarah in volleyball, a terrific infrastructure of what they do in volleyball, and it leads to just this thing. Are you happy with the infrastructure? Do you think it could be advanced in any way? Or I love my 8th grade coaches and, these kids and what they're doing. How does that work?
First of all, it took a lot of time and a lot of effort and some money and some things that we had to put in place to get that infrastructure in place the way we wanted it. So I really love what we do. I love the fact that we have our 8th graders on campus. We get to see those kids. We can kind of project them. But the facilities are great because of some generous people. Our off-season conditioning program, I think, is one of a kind. So there's not a ton of things I don't want to change. Of course, every year we sit back and we say, how can this get better? And we made a change this year in our conditioning class in that we kind of grouped our sports together. So we have 4 classes of football. I handle 2 and Coach Bergeron handles 2. And then Coach Sarah's got her volleyball kids together for the most part in a class. So that really, really helps us. I think it's going to get us better from a conditioning standpoint.
So let's just talk about the good things. Over the summer, what you're seeing from your group, is there a specific grouping of players, whether it's on the offensive side of the ball, the defense side of the ball, we're going to be good at that?
Offensive skills.
Okay.
Grant Barbera is a tremendous quarterback, very underrated. People need to see him every single day to appreciate how good he is. But we got some kids that can really run. Got some receivers that catch the football. Chase Knockan's probably our best athlete on our football team. Got hurt last year a little bit, but in the end of the season and in the Superdome made some tremendous plays for us. So we're going to count on him. Coach Chasson was no back the other day in practice. And I said, why are we doing this? We're a triple option team. He said, well, look across. I'm like, I'll take those matchups. So we got some kids that can really run, catch the football, and Grant just makes so many good decisions.
But it's still that traditional. You still got the Carter Douglas and the Reese LaFon. And you still, I don't know if Ethan Lee's going to play in the offense, but you still have the component of that's always there. It's just nice to be able to do these other things too.
And
right?
we want to make people prepare for us, and you can prepare for triple option in a week, but we do a lot of other stuff. We throw some wing tee stuff in there, and then you got no back, and you got all this other stuff. And Coach Chasson just wants to drive people crazy on the defensive side. And I'm all for that as long as it fits our scheme and what we do.
I have to ask this because watching the kid play, and that's Charlie Dietrich, he looks like a bull in a china cabinet. Is that his mentality? Is that what he is?
He wasn't like that as a young kid. And then when we moved him to linebacker last year, something just clicked. And he's a mean, nasty kid when he's on the field. He is the greatest kid off the field, does a lot of stuff in a leadership position at our school. But I love having him back because he makes a difference.
And I hate to end with a sort of negative connotation to everything. Anything you're looking at right now that, man, this has got to get better quick?
We got to find some guys who can cover in the secondary. And it's going to force us to do some things this year that we probably haven't done in a long time. And that's take some offensive kids throw them on the defensive side so we can cover. You got to match that up these days in high school football. If you can't cover, you don't have a chance.
Well, it actually leads me to another question related to that, simply because as you said that, I'm thinking, in past years, you may have opened up, you opened up with Vanderbilt a lot in the past when it wasn't in your district. Do we sit and listen to the collegiate game where the sort of debate is do you open up with 3 cream puffs before you so that you can get ready? Well, you don't.
We don't.
How do you look at that opening 3 games as compared to last year? Because last year you were worried about it.
Yeah.
And then actually it worked out to your advantage, I think, anyway. Same thing. You're talking about a defensive backfield that's young. How do you get it there?
I think anybody who sees our first 3 opponents, Holy Cross, Jesuit, Hahnville, is worried. Probably a little crazy for scheduling that. But I thought last year's senior group could handle it. I didn't know how many games we were going to win there. And look, we almost came out 3-0 there.
That's right.
So I was very proud. That hit it. It hit me right there. We had a chance when we went through that. But like I said earlier, if we're not healthy in those first 3 weeks, it's going to be a problem playing those guys. So it's just a different group. So we're going to lean on some different strengths maybe than we did last year.
Makes total sense. Obviously makes total sense. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
We'll be watching, especially, those first 3 just to see how you go, because you're always in that number.
Yeah. And we look, no matter how that turns out, we're going to be okay when we hit district, and we're going to get in the playoffs and make a run.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm thinking about those defensive backs, man. If Coach Wagasback and Coach Johnson can't get them guys going, nobody can.
Absolutely.
Right? It is my pleasure to have with me Shelly Vidros. A lot of you folks know him as Pop, coach over at Central Lafourche and also athletic director.
Yes, sir.
A school that we were talking off air a little bit, but as you talk to the other coaches in the community, the job you guys are doing is really a great job. It doesn't always equate necessarily to wins and losses, but as a longtime high school coach, I realize it doesn't always equate to that. But there are strides being made. And we talked about infrastructure with a lot of the schools, and some schools have kind of had it built in because their coaches have been a while. I see that sort of happening with y'all.
Yeah.
It's a community buy-in too, right?
Yes, sir. That's why I've been there so long. I mean, the community, they support you, whatever you got to do. They back you. They back the kids, and that's what it's all about. I'm from Napoleonville, so and it was the same type of community-based thing there, and they just take you and they support you whatever way they can.
As a person, and I don't usually say this, but as a 30-year retiree of here in Terrebonne Parish and coaching all those years, we'd always look at Central Lafourche as that's the community. That's where you want, you and South Lafourche has that too, where your facilities are nice. Speaking of facilities, while it pops in my head, baseball field is beautiful.
Right.
Football field. Is there anything right now that's being, that you have to manicure a little bit, or?
Well, of course, we still take care of the turf and all that. We do all that, and then my softball coach and baseball coaches, they take care of their own fields. We're actually getting our press box back in the baseball field this year from the hurricane and all. And I have a couple of projects coming up for the football stadium. So, that's all in the works right now, and hopefully that'll be done in the near future.
I look at your team, and last year I saw you guys play about 4 times, I think it was, in totality. And there were some guys who could play out there that are not going to be back. I know you had a Champagne kid, a Maldonado kid, those type kids. But then I looked at the kids who were sort of playmakers, and I think it sort of all starts with maybe Jeremy Clues.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm glad I didn't speak out of turn. That being said, I think, and not only that, he was a kid who was kind of forced into playing where he played last year, Jeremy, if I'm not mistaken, because I think you had injuries at the quarterback.
Well, actually, he was the one that got hurt.
He was the one who got
Vanderbilt.
hurt.
Yes, sir.
Started
yeah,
off.
we were. It was a close game, and then he got hurt in the second quarter, beginning of the second quarter, and that's when we had to move Marvin Maldonado to the quarterback position for the rest of the year.
So is
Jeremy
to go?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes. So he's our leader. He's our guy that's coming back. He's the quarterback, and he's the one that's gonna take the bull by the rings and go on with everything. And we're looking for great things from him. And he's surrounded by a group of guys, skilled guys that I think that can help him out.
Very good. How about the line play?
We lost a lot of we were big up front. But this year we're young. We don't have any seniors this year. But I think we're more athletic. Not as big, but I think we're more athletic.
with that group of O-line that we got this year. And I'm
I know
looking
you're
forward
on
to
the
it.
defensive side of the ball a lot. Chris kind of takes care of
Yes.
the offensive side of the ball. That being said, I'm going to ask you to speak from an offensive line cap position. What would you think, or in you as a head coach, what do y'all want to get out of that offense this year?
Honestly, we got a coach this year. We got Gavin Adams that came from South
Oh,
Terrebonne.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
An ex-Trojan.
ex-Trojan, yes, sir. So he played for me and all of that. So we have that going for us. So that's helping out a lot. Chris doesn't have to take all of those kids. So we have an actual coach for them. And Gavin's doing a great job with them. The kids are buying into him. And they're working hard. And so that's all going to come together. Like I said, they're young, but they're going to get it. And we got some skill guys like with Tyreek Cooper, Jordan Mason. We got those guys and we got Robert Day coming back as a running back.
Yeah.
So our offense is ahead of the game right now as far as our defense, because we lost a lot last year in defense.
So talk about defense.
Defense, we have 2 returners, Victor Ellison, the D lineman, and Journey Lee. I had 4 defensive guys that signed that's actually playing at the next level. So, that we have some young kids coming in, but they learned a lot over the summer and they putting that work in, and, I'm looking forward to that.
Are you sort of, again, I told one of the other coaches this today as we were talking, you could sit here and lie to me and say you didn't look at the schedule and hope that it works out in your favor. But we all as high school coaches look at the schedule and we're like, okay, I can handle that one. We home for that one, whatever. Do you like the schedule?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah, every time we go into it, and that's what I tell my kids. You got to believe in it. If you don't believe, then it's not going to happen. That's in anything in life. You got to go in there with that mindset and go in there and go all out and see what happens. You just never know. You got the desperate hands and all that, but if you don't, that's the games you want to play in. If that makes sense, because there'll be scouts out there looking at desperate hand kids.
It's a measuring stick.
And if you can play with those guys, then they're gonna say, you know what, that guy can play for us too. So that's the mindset that I tell them to go into it. You want to play in those big games. That's competition. That's what it's all about.
I agree. If there's one thing that maybe worries you a little bit, like that part of our game right now has a long way to go, what would it be?
On the defense side, and staying healthy. The last 2 years we've been unhealthy. We had some fortunate accidents that happened and it hurt us. So we got to stay healthy. And on the defense side, we got to get, I guess, that game time for us.
Just the maturation process.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Best of luck this upcoming year.
Appreciate
Trojans.
it. And we appreciate everything y'all do for us.
Thanks, Shelley.
Yes.
We'd like to thank all of those coaches for taking the time to come in. They all do a terrific job. And I got to tell you, folks, just from a standpoint of what you think about pay and everything that goes to those guys, they don't get enough. I mean, it's a bottom line. They are all teachers. They work in the classrooms during the day, and they have to go out in the fields in the afternoon to make sure that those kids are ready to play. So certainly we at Terrebonne General support everything they do. And again, it was so nice for them to come and give us a little preview of what we might expect from their teams this upcoming year. That is a great transition to what happens next week. Next week, you're going to hear from all of the volleyball coaches in our area. So we'll talk to all of the volleyball coaches, what we might expect throughout the regular season. We have some really strong volleyball programs, and we hope that you tune in for that and give them the support that they certainly deserve also. Dustin, thanks for everything.
Thank you, Stan.
Another week as we get ready for the 2025-2026 school year. We'll see you next week.